Hi guys, and welcome back to yet another episode of Learn Laravel the Easy Way. Today we're going to be talking about how to insert data into your database. We will take a classic example, for example, the form here. So when you have to submit your contact us form, if you fill this information, for example, and then you click on the submit button or contact us button, you just don't want this information to show to the user. You may also want to insert, which is a regular thing, create a record on your database and insert this data into your database so that the administration or the admin of the system can be able to see the contact us details and get back to the user where need be. So in that case, we definitely need to set up your SQL or your database, and in this case we're going to be using an SQL database. Laravel ships out of the box with drivers for MySQL, for PostgreSQL, for SQLite, and you can also have other SQL databases. So for this to happen, I am assuming, or I'm on the assumption that you really have knowledge in MySQL or basic knowledge in MySQL. But if you don't have, then I recommend installing and setting up XAMPP for Windows, or you can install LAMP for Linux. If you're using Linux, you can install LAMP, and if you're using Mac, you can install MAMP. So once you install those packages, you will have Apache, MySQL, PHP. But if you're already at this point, it means you likely have one of those because we already have PHP running. So PHP usually comes in a XAMPP, MAMP, or LAMP package. So without much ado, we also have to install phpMyAdmin. phpMyAdmin is what we're going to use to interface between a web and the MySQL database. So once you have installed phpMyAdmin, which you can follow from the documentation, you can follow from the link on the comment section on the description of the video. Once you've installed phpMyAdmin, you can just go to your browser, you do localhost phpMyAdmin. I am going to sign in at this point with my root user because what we want to do is we want to create a new user for this our project. We want to create a new user for this our project. And you come to, first of all, you have to create a MySQL user, right? First of all, you have to create a MySQL user, but before you create a MySQL user, we're going to create a database for this our project, right? So if we go to database, we click on databases, and then we say we want to create a database. We're going to give the name of the database, Learn Laravel Easy Way, right? So let's say Learn Laravel the Easy Way. Maybe it's too long. Learn Laravel EW, right? So Learn Laravel EW is the name of our database, and you click on create. So a database has been created, Learn Laravel EW, but this database has no tables. Don't have to bother about it because we're going to use migrations, which you're going to see a bit later, to create your database tables. After you've created your user account, you come back to your server. So after you've created your database, you come back to your server, and then we move on to create a user account. You go to user account. So you want to create a user account that will work with this particular database. So you click on add new user or add user accounts. And once you click on add user accounts, you can be able to give a name to this user account. So we're going to call it Learn Laravel EW user, right? Learn Laravel EW user, right? So we've created a user called Learn Laravel EW user, and then we're going to change the host from any host to localhost. So it means that this user can access it from my machine from localhost. And the password that we're going to use, I'm going to use a basic password dot 123, right? Password dot 123. So password dot 123 is a password I've used to create this particular user. I'm going to use to create this user. Ignore all of these other parts and scroll down and click on go, right? So you have put in your username, you have changed it to localhost, and you have given a password, and you have reinserted the password. So you can just go down to go. So once you do that, now you see that it has created a user called Learn Laravel EW, and that user is under the localhost group, right? So you can access from localhost. This is the SQL command in case you want to keep it, and you can do it later. So we're going to click back still on user accounts. Now the last thing I want to do is we want to assign this new user that we have created to the database. So we want to tell MySQL that this user that we have created, right, should work with a particular database. And in this case, now we just need to come back to user accounts. We click on the user, learn Laravel EW, and we go to database, right? When we go to database, now it will show you the list of databases and you select the database, right? You select the database and you click on go, right? Now, when you select the database and you click on going, now you have the screen that provides you an option to give privileges to this particular user on this database. So you can now just click on check all. And when you say check all, you have given data, structure, and administrative privileges of this user, right, to this particular database. If you even look at the message, it says edit privilege, user account that, and then database that. So we are assigning these privileges for this user to this database. It means this user will be able to do all of these actions on this database. And once we have checked all of that, you could decide to want to say you don't want to check this, you don't want to check this, but in the general aspect, this is what is checked for testing. But in production environments, some of these options will be unchecked, right? So we click on go. Once we click on go, so you see that it has said that grant all privileges on this is this to that. So it has granted all the privileges on the particular database, all the tables to the user in the local host, right? So it has done all of this, and so we are good to go. Now I am going to log out and log in with my specific database, because if you look at it here, you will definitely not see this because it's blurred, but I have a lot of databases here because I'm logged in as the root user. So if I log out and I log in with learn Laravel EW, learn Laravel EW user, right? And then my password is password.123, right? So I click on login. Now it's there, nice and clean. So if you look at it now on the left side, I have just the information schema, performance schema, and learn Laravel EW. These are two schemas that come by default, two tables that come by a database that come by default. So this is now what we have as our database. So at this point, we have been able to create our user accounts, create our database, and assign privileges of all the privileges of the database to that particular user account. It means the user account that we have can do everything on this particular database. In the next video, we're going to be seeing how we can connect our Laravel project into using this database that we have created.